When speaking of 20th century American motorcycles, memory often leads us to the V-twin beasts of Harley-Davidson or Indian motorcycle. Massive frames, deep, thudding exhaust notes, power born to conquer the highway. That image dominated history, leaving almost no room for difference. But in the southern United States, amid the humid heat, there existed a machine that went completely against that current. No gearbox, no hand clutch, no excess parts. A motorcycle stripped to its bare essence. Nothing left but a steel frame, two wheels, and a small engine, breathing with the steady rhythm of a mechanical clock. That was Simplex Manufacturing Corporation. A modest name, yet one that carried within it a bold mechanical philosophy, a great eccentricity in the history of American motorcycling. This is not a story about power. This is a story about absolute minimalism. By the late 1920s, America was no longer a land of endless dreams. The Great Depression swept through every city, every family, leaving behind silent factories and empty roads. Automobiles became a luxury. Fuel was something to be counted penny by penny. Americans needed a new means of transportation, cheaper, more durable, and reliable enough to get them to work every day. Amid that backdrop, in New Orleans, there emerged a quiet yet resolute figure, Paul Treen. He was not an industrial tycoon, nor did he chase dreams of speed or power. Treen was a pragmatist, a man who believed that the best machinery was the kind with the fewest things that could go wrong. His philosophy was encapsulated in a single name: Simplex, absolute simplicity. A motorcycle that anyone could understand, could repair, could operate without complex technical knowledge. No gearbox to fail, no hand clutch to wear out, no excess parts added merely for decoration. In 1935, the first Simplex was born. It was not a patched-together motorized bicycle, but a complete design with a dedicated frame, a compact two-stroke engine, and an unconventional drivetrain. A vehicle created not to impress, but to survive one of the harshest moments in American history. When viewed through the eyes of modern motorcycle enthusiasts, many would shake their heads at the Simplex Servi-Cycle. Too simple, too few components. The elongated teardrop-shaped fuel tank ran along the spine of the frame, holding just enough capacity for short, urban journeys, with no excess metal, no meaningless ornamentation. The saddle-style leather seat, thin and firm, reflected the true spirit of 1930s America. You sat on it to go, not to relax. Beneath that modest exterior lay the distinctive mechanical heart of the Simplex. A single-cylinder, two-stroke engine with a small displacement of around 125 cubic centimeters in early versions, later lightly upgraded to improve durability and torque. This was not an engine built for high speed, but for stability and fuel efficiency, vital qualities during the Great Depression. Its real advantage lay in rotary valve technology. Instead of a conventional intake port, the rotary valve allowed more precise control of the fuel-air mixture in sync with the crankshaft's rotation. The result was smoother operation, consistent response, and reduced vibration, a significant advantage over many small motorcycles of the era that were rough and quick to wear out. With the Servi-Cycle, smoothness was not for show, but to reduce wear and extend service life. The drivetrain was the clearest declaration of Simplex's philosophy. No chain drive, no multi-speed gearbox, but a belt drive with a variable pulley system. The gear ratio was adjusted entirely through mechanical means, based on engine speed. The rider did not need to shift gears or coordinate clutch and throttle. Everything happened quietly, cleanly, and with almost no need for maintenance. And Simplex's customers were not thrill-seeking riders, but people who needed a machine more reliable than the times themselves. For young men, the Servi-Cycle was often their first motorcycle. Reasonably priced, simple to operate, requiring no shifting skills or deep mechanical knowledge. Just push it, fire it up, and go. For them, Simplex was a doorway into the world of American motorcycling. Slow, but steady. In cities and small towns, the Servi-Cycle appeared in the hands of delivery workers, postal carriers, and mobile repairmen. The clean, low-maintenance belt drive allowed the bike to endure long working days. Its ability to run slowly and steadily without jerking made it especially suited to short routes with constant stop-and-go traffic. One image rarely mentioned, yet deeply characteristic, was Simplex in urban police service. Some police departments used the Servi-Cycle to patrol downtown areas, check parking meters, and navigate crowded streets. The bike could creep along at low speed without clutch work, without overheating, without noise, a tool in the truest sense, rather than a symbol of authority. During World War II, Simplex entered a different chapter with the Simplex Airborne paratroopers. In terms of design, the Simplex Airborne was even more stripped down than the civilian Servi-Cycle. The steel frame was shortened, unnecessary components removed. The small fuel tank, with just enough capacity for short liaison missions, was mounted low to keep the center of gravity stable during parachute drops. The seat was thin and flat, prioritizing practicality over comfort. The entire motorcycle could be tightly secured within a parachute container, a vital requirement for airborne troops. The engine remained a small displacement, single-cylinder two-stroke, retaining the familiar rotary valve layout. There were no power upgrades because the military did not need speed. What they needed was the ability to start immediately, even after the bike had endured the impact of landing. The rotary valve made the engine easy to start and less dependent on fine adjustment, a major advantage in battlefield conditions. The belt drive with its variable pulley system was also retained. No chain meant less mud buildup, less mechanical noise, and a reduced risk of failure. Soldiers did not need to learn how to shift gears, they simply started the bike and moved out. However, compared to the Cushman Model 53, Simplex never secured a prominent role in military service. Even so, its presence remained a testament to the practicality and reliability of its design. Alongside its utility, Simplex also gave rise to a distinct culture. From the late 1940s through the 1950s, Simplex clubs appeared scattered across the United States. No racing, no showmanship, just groups of people choosing to live slowly on two wheels, believing that the joy of motorcycling lay in the journey, not the destination. As the 1950s began, America shifted. The war ended, the economy recovered, and with it came a growing desire for convenience. Consumers no longer asked only whether a motorcycle was durable, but began to ask, was it faster? Was it easier to use? Was it modern? It was precisely at this moment that Simplex's philosophy started to become a burden. New competitors appeared on the market. Whizzer with its rear-wheel-mounted engine, Cushman with its unit-frame scooters and convenient electric starters, all targeting the same segment. Small, affordable, accessible machines. But they brought with them something Simplex deliberately avoided: compromise with popular taste. Then, by the late 1950s, the real wave arrived from across the Pacific. The Honda Super Cub appeared like a shock to mechanical culture. A smooth four-stroke engine, a semi-automatic gearbox, electric starting, a friendly design. It achieved what Simplex had never wanted to do: It made motorcycling easy and enjoyable for the masses. The problem was not Simplex's engineering. The Servi-Cycle remained durable, reliable, and faithful to its original philosophy. But Paul Treen was a man unwilling to change the core. He remained steadfast in push starting, in having no gearbox, in a purely mechanical belt drive system, even as the market demanded electric starters, foot shifting, and higher speeds. To Treen, adding those conveniences meant breaking the very essence of Simplex. He refused to reduce material quality to lower costs, refused to chase the horsepower race, refused to turn his motorcycle into something he no longer recognized. The consequences were inevitable. Sales stagnated, distribution networks shrank. Simplex was gradually pushed to the margins by its absolute loyalty to minimalist philosophy. In 1960, Simplex Manufacturing Corporation officially ceased motorcycle production. When the Simplex Servi-Cycle left the production line, few imagined it would ever have a second life. In the collective memory of the time, Simplex was merely a small, slow, outdated machine, left behind in the era of electric starters, foot-shift gearboxes, and smooth four-stroke engines. But time, as it often does, chose to see things differently. Today, an original Simplex Servi-Cycle, especially examples from the late 1940s to early 1950s, has become a highly valued collector's item. Properly restored machines, retaining their original two-stroke rotary valve engines and belt drive systems, can command prices between $10,000 and $20,000 USD. A figure hard to imagine for a vehicle once built for the working class. But the true value of Simplex is not measured in money. It lies in the fact that this motorcycle represents a mechanical philosophy that has nearly vanished. In a world where everything grows increasingly complex, Simplex reminds us that there was once a time when people believed in subtracting rather than adding. No gearbox, not because it could not be done, but because it was not needed. No electric starter, not because it was backward, but because of faith in pure mechanics. Paul Treen did not leave behind an empire. He left behind a question. Does a motorcycle truly need to be faster, more powerful, more complex in order to be better? Or does perfection sometimes appear only when everything unnecessary has been stripped away? Simplex is not a symbol of American power, but a symbol of American character. Independent, stubborn, and faithful to principles to the very end. It stands as living proof of the saying that perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. And perhaps in the soft crackle of an aging two-stroke engine, Simplex is still whispering to us about a time when a motorcycle did not need to prove anything except to keep on rolling. If you've stayed with the story of Simplex all the way to this point, perhaps you've felt the slow, steady breath of a bygone era, a time when a motorcycle didn't need to be loud to be unforgettable. What do you think about this philosophy of absolute minimalism? Would you choose a purely mechanical machine like Simplex, or the convenience-filled complexity of modern motorcycles? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you value forgotten legends of classic American motorcycles, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue this journey. See you next time.